YouTube, stop saying the moon. Like, we're not talking about Marvel Rivals. Anyway, YouTube, we're talking about Dark Matama and Luna today. We're talking about these two. Two Epicfest exclusive Ubers. Chat wanted me to talk about Luna, and somebody has wanted me to talk about Mitama. So, here I am. Mitama's been really underrated. I actually think she's arguable for one of the best anti-trait lists in the game. Simply because she provides something for trait lists that no other unit in the game can provide, which is LD, weaken, and slow with almost 100% uptime. Well, I say almost 100% uptime. It's not as much uptime as normal Matama, unfortunately. Well, quicker attack frequency, so it might be the same, but it is still really high uptime for trait lists as well. So it's really good. Tanking isn't terrible. Survivability is obviously amazing with the high knockback count. The DPS is actually better than base Matama. And considering the LD, it's pretty fucking good. And better standing range than Matama. I think a lot of people forget. I think a lot of people forget that, Epicfest Matama actually has better base stats. Because there's better base HP, better base damage, better range. And I know, chat, I talked about Epicfest versus Uberfest, but first of all, those are old videos at this point. Like, not a lot of newcomers has seen those. And second of all, now I'm talking about them as a unit as a whole, rather than compared to their other counterpart. Especially, and like, Dark Mitama still fits under the whole underrated thing, overlooked thing, because, well, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people overlook just how good she is. It's like, she can shut down almost any traitless stage. So like, I think she's really overlooked. She's a backswing based character, so she's rebound. She's a lot of things. Bad is not one of them, but she is simply overlooked, and she can still be used in mixed stages because of her LD. Chat, I do not like feet. Just to let you know, my chat just hates me. But yeah, so like 50% weaken, resistant, slow, long distance. It's a good LD too, and the DPS isn't terrible considering the LD. And so like, her recharge time isn't great, but it's also not terrible. Like, and base HP of 44,000 isn't that terrible considering the knockback count. Like, yeah, you're going to skip a lot of knockbacks for the most part, but it's still not terrible even for mixed stages. I mean, she does struggle later on into the game, but so does the other Mitama, and so do a lot of Ubers actually. But I think she's really good. And then I mean, who doesn't love this? This is an awesome design. But then there's Luna, a newer Uber that I did talk about as well as Matama, but at the time that I talked about her, she was like brand new. So this was what, 2 months ago? And so looking at her stats, she doesn't seem all that great. She really doesn't seem all that great looking at her stats just like from afar. But once you look closer, not bad attack frequency, not bad knockback count, lots of HP. DPS looks like it'd be bad, but she has an Omni, not an LD, an Omni. Pretty low recharge time, below average, 104. Backswing, so she's rebound unit. She has strong against, which basically means that her 3k DPS becomes 4500 DPS, and she also has explosion. Explosion effectively doubles DPS, is what most people will say. So that goes from 3k DPS to 9k DPS, thanks to the strong against and explosion. So 9k DPS with this much HP and I mean, a really good uptime on the explosion, or on the weaken, against 4 different traits, by the way. Against 4 different traits, and against these traits, she has 200,000 HP without the weaken, and with the weaken, 400,000. Because I think, it's like 200,000 HP with strong against, and then 400,000 with the weaken. On something with 350 range with such a short recharge time, like, a lot of really bulky tanks have a much longer recharge time than this, and so she can do that from 350 range and with a low recharge time. Not to mention, she targets some really relevant traits: floating, traitless, angel, and Aku, all of which are pretty actually strong and relevant. Okay, Queen, I guess I'm your minion. I guess, you know, just choose for me. But anyways, yeah, she has shield piercing, 20% chance to pierce shields. Not very likely, but whenever it does happen, it is on explosion. So if it happens on her base hit, it's going to happen in the explosion, and that is going to be very satisfying, sniping some like fallen bears and stuff. Not to mention her Omni Strike actually isn't bad. Pierces up to 100 farther than her standing range, which is not bad actually. But she also has Counter Surge, which is kind of questionable, but thanks to her bulk, it actually makes her pretty good. Her damage per hit isn't that high though. Since her damage kind of relies on the explosion to be good, but I mean, the Counter Surge can still probably do a lot of work. And then her immunities, she's not immune to wave. I never really realized that, but she's not immune to wave. But she is immune to a lot of other things, which is very nice. The immune to explosions isn't really nice now, but maybe eventually it'll be a little more useful. But anti-angel, traitless, and floating, those three traits are actually not that power crept. Like Angel is pretty power crept nowadays thanks to Bubble, Cafeteria, and all that, but traitless still really isn't power crept. Like the best thing you're going to get is Hitman. And then floating, you know, shockingly, there's not a lot of good ranged floating non-Ubers. So the fact that you have something like this with especially the ability to weaken out all of these traits is absolutely phenomenal with their damage just over time. Especially since Dark Luna will live a long time, and the weaken benefits everybody. Everybody will benefit from the weaken. So it's not just her taking half damage from her targeted traits. It is also everybody else. So it helps meat shielding, helps your attackers stay alive. It helps everything. And like, if you want to know more about weaken, the effect of weaken on you know, a unit or on an enemy or whatever, you should probably go check out Lucas's video about weaken, just because he talks about how it's like underrated as fuck. And I agree with that. And Dark Luna is a prime example of that being the case, where it's like underrated and overlooked. A lot of people underestimate the hell out of Luna, Dark Luna, simply because she weakens. But weaken is still really good. And by the way, I never mentioned her target against Aku. I mentioned the shield pierce, but I didn't mention the Aku targeting. Weakening Aku is actually really good because you can weaken Gories and Condemned Pangs, and weakening those two can be fucking huge. So you know, like, that's not to be underestimated, because those two can actually shred your meat shields. Even if you have cone, they can shred. So having that weaken is, you know, that weaken is overlooked because it's simply not that great. Yeah, you're stupid. No offense. But yeah, weaken is overlooked not because it's not that great. It's actually phenomenal. All statuses are phenomenal except for maybe knockback, but it kind of just depends on this scenario. But with weaken, I think it's overlooked just because people don't really like. The problem with weaken is that you don't really see the results as well as you do with slow and freeze, but they are there. The results are there. I can guarantee you that. Because like a 50% weaken will double the lifespan of your meat shields, which can absolutely help keep pushing the line. And chat, I'm not ignoring you. I am reading you. Trust me, I am reading you. Y'all are just not talking about anything I care about. And I'm trying to record. You guys should know how I am doing a YouTube video at this point. Queen Remedy doesn't even stream at YouTube. They're yapping. they're just yapping for no fucking reason. My only problem with Dark Luna is only 20% shield pierce. And also the fact that she lacks wave and surge immunity. I would have rathered Surge Immune than Counter Surge, but Counter Surge can still be cool, I guess. But I mean, very good Uber overall. I don't think there was ever any questioning that. And her generous usage isn't that bad. It's going to be about as good as the other Lunas. But this one kind of relies a little more on the weaken for the tanking role, but still good damage. I mean, 6k DPS with Omni Strike and that much AoE is still really good. And Explosion, remember, you cannot sum Explosion down to just an expanded DPS. It is much more than that. It is a lot of things because it gives different hitboxes. It gives an extending hitbox. You know, Explosion is a lot better than just like doubling your DPS. But I think that's about all I can really say. Also, her design is really cool. I do like her design and her attack animation. But I think that's all I have to say. So YouTube, if you did enjoy, please do come back for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.